get this started, as we normally do beforehand, we have a few comments I think to make ahead of time. Chair Chapman, if you wanted to, if you have any comments at all about how your tenure as 2 years as chair, and you want to talk about a little bit about that, and we will turn it over to Chair-elect Williams. Talk a little bit possibly about what his thoughts are moving forward.
Yeah, simply put, it's been one of the highlights of my life to serve the university system in this way as chair. I've really enjoyed working with my fellow curators. Really enjoyed working with Dr. Choi, who's really took us in a fantastic direction over the last several years. And like I say, it's just been a real honor to be here, and I'm glad we could make some positive change. That we could take on some challenging things that we had to deal with and come out in a good place. So it's just been an absolute honor.
Chair-elect Williams, any comments you would like to talk to? We have the Missourian and the Tribune here, and Stephanie, do we have anybody on the phone? No. Anybody deep in? Okay. So sometimes we will get an occasional media calls in.
Gotcha. No, I would echo kind of what Chair Chapman said, and I've had the pleasure of kind of being under Chair Chapman, Chair Burnsick, and seeing the fantastic work that has started, and we're starting to see the fruits of it for our next gen project and all those things that are going great, and hopefully we can continue that momentum. My rule is we want students, to get the opportunity to do research and grow. We want professors that are doing that research and being productive, and we want to be a good example of how, or good steward of the money that the state is giving us and our alumni and our donors. And so my job is to get out of the way and make sure that we're supporting Dr. Choi, supporting our other chancellors, supporting the hospital, and supporting as many groups, organizations, and great ideas as we possibly can.
President Choi, I know you already had a few words out in the public meeting. Is there anything else further you?
Like I said before, I was very excited to work with Chair Chapman. This is the first time in many years that we've had a chair that served for more than 1 year. And that stability was very helpful, especially going through COVID and so forth. But he laid out very clear expectations. And as chair, you could see the progress that the university has made during his chairmanship. And so we're very proud of his accomplishments, thankful for his many contributions, and also the sacrifices made by our curators. These are unpaid positions, but the amount of time that you put into supporting the university is critically important. And I'm excited about working with Chair Williams as well as Vice Chair Winokur. There are so many exciting opportunities that are ahead, but also challenges that we see, as you saw from the demographics of students, uncertainty about the economy, and so forth. So it'll be an exciting period going ahead, but I know that we have the right leadership at the Board of Curators to lead the university.
Vice Chair Winokur, do you have any comments about moving forward in your position?
Sure. I'll just say that I'm honored to serve and very excited to serve with soon-to-be Chair Williams, and grateful for the tenacity and how resolute and committed that Chair Chapman has been. I think he said this in his comments, and I was going to say this if I'd had the opportunity during the meeting. He never stopped reminding us that we were there to serve the citizens of Missouri and be good stewards of our resources, and that was something echoed weekly. And it made a difference, I think, in how present that was in all of our decisions. So kudos to you.
Thank you, Robin.
And so we'll open up for questions. Mavis, do you want to go first? I'll just go with who's sitting next to me.
Thank you.
Mavis is with the Columbia Missourian, and she has a colleague with her as well from the Columbia Missourian.
Hello everyone. So my first question is, we heard about enrollment earlier and then enrollment strategies, but students of color, especially Black students, felt like more Black faculty members on campus, especially on the Columbia campus, will help them a lot. So my question is, what are your strategies on specifically retaining Black faculty members? What specific strategies do you have?
So this year, we lost about 9 faculty members who are in the tenure track who are Black faculty. And some of the reasons that our Black faculty members left, as we can best tell from the exit surveys, include better opportunities elsewhere. It also includes denial of tenure in some cases, as well as dissatisfaction with upper administration that was brought up. And the last one is culture within the department, the interactions that they have with their colleagues. In all of those cases, we need to do better. We need to make sure that people feel welcome and they have an opportunity to 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 sustain their career, to grow their career here at the University of Missouri. But I also want to mention, this is very important, that we are still above the median of AAU publics when it comes to Black faculty percentage on the tenure track. And there are a number of programs that we have implemented, including the PFFD. It's a long acronym, but it is hiring of postdoctoral fellows so that they can become faculty members not only at the University of Missouri, but also elsewhere. This year, Vice Chancellor Gibson will be making trips to very large universities that produce the very best PhD students from all backgrounds, including University of Michigan, Georgia Tech, UCLA, and places like that with the deans of our colleges. So instead of just saying, why don't you apply to the University of Missouri, we're going to go to where the candidates are. And so you'll see more the outcomes from that type of activity. But it's also very, very important for us to retain our faculty members that we work so hard to recruit to the university.
And I guess you said one of the reasons like the culture inside the department.
Yes.
And so specific to that, are there any like solutions to like change the culture, make it more accommodating?
Yes, we are. In fact, we've asked some of the deans that lost the faculty members to investigate, to better understand what are some of the cultural issues within the departments. But it's a sense of belonging, and it's also ensuring that the workload is distributed in an equitable manner. And we've also heard from many of our underrepresented minority faculty that they feel the burden of carrying all of the diversity activities themselves, or primarily. And that workload has to be distributed equitably. And so those are factors that we'll be looking into.
I'm going to scoot on over to Roger.
Sure. Well, related to the housing and dining rate, Ryan Rapp said the primary driver was inflationary pressures. Given that students are also facing those inflationary pressures, do you think that reasoning will they'll understand that?
I think in general, students understand that this university has been very mindful of the actual cost of attendance, and not just the sticker price of the tuition, but the net price that they pay for their education. And over the past decade or more, we've had one of the lowest increases in tuition during that period. And as you saw from the application numbers at all four universities, that there's great interest because students can get a high quality, affordable education. But the increases are necessary because costs have gone up dramatically. And what Vice President Rapp discussed was we did not go up to the level of inflation. We were below that level because we had a little bit of cushion in our balances that can sustain us even though we didn't go up to that inflationary number. So I know that the board will be discussing our recommendations for tuition in the coming year, and we're going to be very mindful of the increase in tuition, being mindful of students and their affordability to pay.
Do we have anyone on the phone? Okay. We've got a few more minutes, so Roger, do you have a second question? Then we'll kind of bounce back and forth.
Yeah, and I know you can't discuss what was discussed in closed session, but it seemed very unusual to have a closed session for several hours at the beginning of the meeting. Well, in my experience anyway.
Yeah.
What insight can any of you give?
We had our general counsel had some traveling plans that and we tried to accommodate that. He left, I think, about 20 minutes ago, and he, gives us legal updates and confidential updates. And we just had to make sure that we could get that in with him in person. We felt like that would be the most productive way to do it. Paul McGuffey's great. Paul, is fantastic. He could have stood in, but Mark asked to change the schedule so that he could actually do it in person.
All right, was it the exemption under attorney-client privilege?
Well, we had legal updates. We have I think the specific exemptions that apply are in the meeting notice. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was more of just a scheduling issue. All right,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, Curator Williams with Michael Howie from the Columbia, Missouri, and congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
You said you want to continue the momentum from the previous years, and President Choi, you had said last year in your State of the University, you hinted at a MER-2, a second reactor, and I wanted to ask, is there been any sort of update since then? Do you have any idea of what kind of cost is associated with that? What sort of planning has gone into that so far?
So right now we are in the evaluation stage. As I shared with you, MER2 is most likely a 10-year project, even if we're to start it now. And there is a committee that we form with both internal and external partners to evaluate the feasibility and the business plan. And I'll be able to see that business plan probably sometime in the early part of next year. And then I'll be discussing that with the board at that time and evaluate what the next step should be.
And then, Amendment 3 was passed just a couple weeks ago in the midterms. What kind of reaction do any of you have to that? And then in terms of enforcing something like that on a school campus, how do you handle that? Is that something similar to like an alcohol situation? Have you had any discussions about
So
how that will work?
this is related to legalized marijuana. And right now we are evaluating with Student Affairs as well as the Office of the General Counsel, as well as Student Affairs at all 4 universities. But we know that there are other states that have gone through this before, like Illinois, and we've been studying their model. But initially, what we can say is that based on the drug-free workplace requirement of the federal government, that we will be following that approach. But the final decision will be made probably soon after Thanksgiving, and we'll be presenting a recommendation for the board.
Are there anything else? No, we're good. Maynard?
Yes, I just want to ask, Curator, that your term expires at the end of this year, together with Curator Holbrook and Lehman.
Mm-hmm.
So, will you stay on afterwards, like Curator Burnsick, or will you leave?
What's the governor's call? Well, I'll serve until I'm replaced, and when the governor makes that decision to replace me, I will step aside.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I believe the other curators whose terms expire feel the same way.
Okay. All right, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.